General Paper teacher Mr. Ong Chin Meng is one of 10 teachers honoured by the Speak Good English movement with the Inspiring Teacher of English Award. The 34-year-old says he is an accidental teacher as he studied science in university. On top of that, the English teacher had struggled with the language in his youth as he was from a Mandarin-speaking family.
What was difficult was that I couldn't get much help in terms of English at home. My dad was English educated. He stopped after his O levels, so he has enough English to get by at work. He was still able to help me when I was in primary school, but when it came to secondary school, after a while I decided, okay, my dad just doesn't know as much, so I have to figure out on my own. I mean, if you look at it from one perspective, compared to friends who came from English-speaking family, who had friends who have parents who speak good English to them, friends who have parents who are educated, middle class, who could discuss issues, political issues, economic issues, issues on the media with them, I would lose out. My parents won't discuss such things with me. But if I look at it in another way, at the very least, what I was very clear from the onset, from maybe upper primary, lower secondary, I was very clear that if I want to learn English, I want to learn the correct English, my parents are not going to be the source. So I wasn't confused because, in a sense, my parents did not speak Singlish to me, and I did not learn Singlish as the model. I mean, whatever Singlish I had, I picked up in school, so it's nothing to do with my parents.
When Mr. Ong was younger, he felt that English was a difficult language to understand. He felt it was due to the way it used to be taught.
English was pretty mysterious to me. When we did well for a paper, we don't know why. When we do badly, we are not too sure why as well. Because I grew up in an era where we were taught using the communicative language approach, so grammar was chucked out of the syllabus. So we didn't really have access to formal grammar. So many things were mysterious. I mean, a certain phrase is right because it feels right. It is wrong because it feels wrong. I don't know why it's right. I don't know why it's wrong. I mean, I didn't know why it was right and why it was wrong. I only learned about it when I did my linguistics course in NUS, and that was when I found that there are actually many rules. There are many regularities in English, and there are things that you can learn. And English is not such an unfathomable subject, and you can't do well in it.
Initially, this Inspiring Teacher of English Award recipient pursued a PSC teaching scholarship in science. He later grew fond of the language and decided to teach English. But Mr. Ong had some fears about the job at first.
Frankly speaking, before I stepped into school to teach English language, I was pretty fearful about teaching English language. I was comfortable learning more about English. I found it very interesting. But teaching English was another story, because now I have to translate it to something the students can understand and to make it interesting. And I didn't know how to. It was really so much easier walking into class just to teach mathematics, and students in Singapore love mathematics. When you walk into class and you teach mathematics, they just instantly pay attention to you. But when you walk into class and you try to teach English, there's a higher tendency that they will switch off and they will think that English is something that you can't exactly learn, and therefore you can't. I mean, if they can't learn, then by extension, there's nothing the teacher can teach them.
So how did he make it interesting? He used these cards. Called country cards, he learned the method from a colleague, Mr. Adrian Bell, who is also an Inspiring English Teacher Award recipient. How does it work? Students pick a country, research about it, and talk about the nation.
For me at least, I tell the students that then you are the ambassador for that country for the year. So whenever I need some information on that particular country, you will be the one that would share on that particular country. So what the students learn in the process was they learn about pretty unknown countries, because the students were also interested. They chose countries that they have not really heard of. So one student, for example, chose Tuvalu. And before that, nobody in the class knew where Tuvalu was. It's actually a very small country that actually will be underwater very soon because of global warming and the rising sea level. And that's the first country which actually have global warming refugees. So all this information came out because the students did the research and the rest of the class shared the information as well. So that's how we employ the country cards.
Looking back, Mr. Ong says he does not regret his decision to teach English.
An example of a large-scale natural disaster would be the Boxing Day tsunami. But 5 years down the road, I can't say the same thing again, you know. Even a Sichuan earthquake will sound a bit outdated. They have newer disasters, things that have happened more recently. So I have to constantly keep myself updated, read the news. So lifelong learning becomes something that's very real. I have to keep changing my examples every year. With the content that we deal with in general paper, you kind of never get tired of doing it.